After discovering my husband's betrayal, I didn't make a scene. Noticing the daily essentials in the bedside drawers compartment were dwindling, a plan formed in my mind. I took out the household 502 glue and squeezed it inside. The next day, my husband and my best friend were howling in pain at the hospital. Far from feeling ashamed, they boldly claimed that in matters of love, the one who isn't loved is the real third party. My parents threatened to jump off a building to stop me from pursuing this matter, demanding that I give up my husband to my best friend. Looking at the long string of nines in my bank balance, I burst out laughing. Who do you think you're living off of, spending whose money, and staying in whose house, scumbag man, shameless woman, and heartless parents? Get out of my life. I came home early from overtime work, and my husband Aaron Miller avoided eye contact when he opened the door. I immediately realized my husband was hiding something from me and couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong?" But he didn't seem inclined to tell me, so I didn't press further. When I noticed that more than half of the daily use oil was missing from the bedside drawer, all my doubts were resolved. I thought of my husband, who had known and accompanied me for 5 years, always taking meticulous care of me despite his busy work schedule. I still couldn't bring myself to believe that such a thing could happen between us. I chose to believe him. Yet, in just a few short days, the trust built over 5 years vanished into thin air, and the daily cooking oil was visibly decreasing at an alarming rate. I didn't make a scene. Instead, I quietly added some 502 glue to the bottle and went to work feeling quite satisfied. The surveillance footage from the front door was linked to my phone. When I checked it, an ambulance was parked right outside my house, confirming my suspicions. Aaron, in the end, it was you who betrayed this relationship. My heart ached with a sharp pain, but it was quickly filled with anger. If you can't cherish the good life we have now and insist on seeking a mistress, then don't blame me for turning ruthless. A man and a woman, wrapped in a blanket, were carried out of the house together. The man was none other than my husband, and the woman turned out to be my best friend. Hannah Miller always comes to my house under the pretense of caring for me, and ends up staying for several days. I work at the company every day, yet I had no idea these two had already gotten together behind my back. Furious, I floored the accelerator and drove straight to the hospital. I found my husband and my best friend effortlessly. They had just been wheeled out of surgery. The facial expressions of these two shifted from terror to guilt. And in the end, they simply stopped pretending. My hands were trembling with anger as I pointed at Hannah and scolded, "Look at what you've done. Hannah is 2 months younger than me, and we've always addressed each other as sisters. Yet, this so-called sisterhood turned out to be their little pet name for each other." Hannah buried her face in my husband's arms, tearful and too afraid to speak. My husband frowned at me with displeasure. "Would it kill you to lower your voice?" These two had just undergone surgery not long ago, yet they were already sharp-tongued enough to talk back to me. I set down my bag and stared leisurely at the two snuggled together. Do they even see me as their wife anymore? "When did you two get together?" Hannah was displeased. She wriggled out of her husband's embrace, her eyes filled with defiance. "What do you mean get together? In love? The one who isn't loved is the real outsider." I raised my hand and slapped Hannah across the face. Her cheeks turned red and soon swelled up badly. Her husband tenderly caressed her face, then echoed her sentiments, casting a resentful look at me as he made his accusation. "There's no love left between us. Look at yourself. You're nothing but a venomous woman. For the sake of our marriage, I don't want to take things too far. Apologize to Hannah now, and I'll forgive you." Hannah was just in a bad mood and needed to vent. "We're family, after all, yet you dripped glue into the cooking oil. Were you trying to kill us both?" How had I never noticed before just how low my husband could stoop? I let out a mocking laugh and left the ward without looking back. "Then you'd better not forgive me." Hannah told my parents about this, and before I even got home, I received a video call from them. I thought they would be outraged and give her a lesson. Unexpectedly, my parents looked pale and didn't say a single word in my defense. Hannah is an orphan who never experienced much love growing up. Due to her impoverished family background, she always studied diligently. Through her own efforts, she was admitted to a university ranked just below the one I graduated from. I've seen her several times during academic exchanges between universities, and feeling sorry for her circumstances. I often helped her a lot in daily life. Over time, my parents became aware of her existence. Hannah also knew how to play the social game well, charming my parents to no end. Don't you think there's something wrong with what Hannah did? My parents hemmed and hawed, and finally said half-heartedly, "We'll scold her next time she comes." My parents are biased. Apart from this matter, Hannah is indeed a good girl. But I'm young, make money, and am filial, just like a worry-free ATM machine. Compared to my absence from home, Hannah has been by their side for decades. As people age, they become sentimental and prefer spending time with their children, which I understand. But this is almost as much favoritism as my own daughter would get. One is a sister who is filial to me but whom I don't like, and the other is Hannah, who may not be very capable but is at least obedient. In a way, my parents have already treated her as their goddaughter. Hannah might just be momentarily confused. What ill intentions could she possibly have? Not only do Mom and Dad refuse to stand up for justice, but they even go out of their way to defend Hannah, after all that has happened. You still choose to stand by her side, is that it? I am currently the sole provider for all of Dad's living expenses. Hannah has been working at the company I founded ever since we became friends. Aaron is just a freeloader. Without me as their cash cow, they would likely face homelessness, so naturally, they wouldn't dare speak harshly to me. The two of them pleaded with me. How about we just let this matter drop? Hannah has already admitted her mistake. I knew they were going to plead Hannah's case, so I hung up without hesitation. But the fact that these two would go to such lengths for a daughter who isn't even related by blood really changed my perspective. My parents were waiting at my doorstep, and as soon as they saw me getting out of the car, they greeted me with smiles. "You silly child, why did you delete our fingerprints?" I didn't delete their fingerprints. The only ones with that authority are me and my husband. The fingerprints were deleted long ago, proving they've been scheming together for quite some time. Both my parents love playing mahjong. Sometimes when their monthly living expenses run out, they come to me and win me over with a table full of food, leaving me so moved that I willingly give them money. On average, they come once a month. Which suggests my husband's affair with Hannah has been going on for at least about a month. It was Aaron who brought Hannah back for convenience, probably afraid you two would run into each other. My parents wore awkward expressions, one holding my arm and the other supporting my waist as they pulled me into the house. Must be a machine malfunction. No worries, we'll just record another one later, as the home's security safeguard. And being the best imported security system from abroad that I'd purchased, if their fingerprints failed it certainly wouldn't be the fault of my password lock. They probably both had a clear understanding in their hearts. As soon as they entered, they fell to their knees before me, wailing and lamenting. Hannah has had a hard life. Finally, she found someone she likes, and you, as her sister, had to take him away. Hannah may not say it, but we've watched her grow up for at least a decade. How can you turn against her over such a trivial matter? I remained silent, trying to help my parents up from the ground. After all, they are my elders. I couldn't bear to see them like this. Unexpectedly, my mother broke free from my grasp and ran straight upstairs, while my father reached out to block me, buying her time. By the time we got upstairs, my mother was sitting by the window, her eyes filled with tears. Hannah must have inherited this tendency to cry easily from my mom. "If you keep harassing Hannah, I'll jump from here." Aaron and Hannah came back at just the right time. Has that area healed so quickly after the surgery? Hannah threw herself into her mother's arms, and the two of them hugged each other, crying uncontrollably. "Godmother, it's all my fault, Godmother." I glanced at my mom, who avoided eye contact and stayed silent. How come I didn't know they've become so close already? My husband hurried forward. "No, Hannah, this isn't your fault. It's her who's tearing us apart." Dad gave me an unhappy glance and pushed my back with his hand. "You've caused such a mess in the family. Aren't you ashamed? Family. So I'm the outsider here. Why should I feel embarrassed? My husband of 5 years is having an affair with my own Hannah. And they even have the audacity to claim that in love, the one who isn't loved is the third party. Do you think the law is a joke? I've already hired a lawyer to gather evidence, so just you wait. My bank balance has a string of zeros, more than enough for me to live comfortably. My husband is just a low-level employee at a listed company, earning only 3,000 yuan a month. His parents used to be teachers and now have pensions, so at least he doesn't have to support them. My parents weren't well educated and could only make ends meet through manual labor, but ever since I received a scholarship in high school, they stopped supporting me financially each month. It got even worse in college. While I was working part-time jobs, Not only did they refuse to give me living expenses, but they also demanded I send them money every month. To put it simply, the household income couldn't cover expenses, and with their poor health, they couldn't earn much money. Yet Hannah let slip the truth when asking me for money. Can you give me some money? I've recently had my eye on a new bag. The company is in the investment phase. And I don't really expect them to understand my struggles. At the very least, they shouldn't give me so much trouble every month. I'm still investing this month. Once things settle down, Hannah couldn't be bothered to listen to my complaints and cut straight to the point. Then why give money to our parents for mahjong? Only then did I realize that my parents hadn't used my money for good purposes. For the sake of my family, I've already compromised to this extent. They even coveted shares in my company when they ran out of money, but I never expected that now my parents and my best friend would join forces to destroy my family. Upon hearing that I intended to sue them, my parents suddenly started trying to win me over again. Mom slowly climbed down from the windowsill, pleading with me. Hannah has a bright future ahead. I beg you to let her go. Seeing me unmoved, Dad pulled out a loudspeaker from his cloth bag. He immediately shouted outside, "Everyone come look. Lauren Carter is preventing Hannah from finding true love. We came to reason with her, but she actually wants to sue us. The residents in this villa area are all either wealthy or influential people, some extremely busy, others with too much time on their hands." I could see quite a few people coming out to watch the spectacle, and several even opened their windows to get a better look. Seeing it was working, Dad continued shouting. Her mother knelt down begging her not to delay Hannah any longer, but this kid stubbornly refused to let go. I heard many people chattering and cursing, saying I was meddling too much and had nothing better to do. I lunged to snatch the megaphone, but the difference in strength was too great. I couldn't wrest it away at all. Yet, the sound had already carried far enough. Do you think I wouldn't care if she likes my husband? These two even had to go to the hospital today because of an incident. The crowd quickly turned against them, starting to point fingers and whisper, perhaps too embarrassed to face the situation. My dad threw down the megaphone and slammed the window shut. Scared already? Weren't you all so tough just now? Aaron was about to come hit me when I kicked him square in the stomach. I'll spare your little carrot for now, otherwise Hannah would be heartbroken. I looked around and said coldly, I bought this villa entirely by myself. And only my name is on the property deed. Get out now, since you've shown no mercy. Don't blame me for being ruthless. Mom and Dad, Hannah has a bright future ahead. You can ask her for your living expenses from now on, or go ask your new son-in-law who earns a measly 3,000 yuan a month. I left the villa without looking back, throwing over my shoulder, pack your things and get out immediately. If your belongings aren't cleared out in 3 days, I'll call the police. Then I'll just watch and see how well you can live without me. I returned to work at the company with a straight face. Those scumbags, homewreckers, and heartless parents aren't worth my tears. I had planned to throw myself into work, using money to heal the emotional wounds. But who would have thought these people would go out of their way to make me miserable? The company's glass door was splashed with paint, and a few people were throwing tantrums and rolling around in front of the office. It's this woman, so heartless. We only said a few words about her, and now she won't support us in our old age. My mother's resentful gaze fell on me, her tears plopping onto the ground. Hannah didn't miss the chance to add fuel to the fire, and she's so petty, she won't even let me say a single word to her husband. The people at the company wanted to enjoy the drama, but were also afraid of the boss. So they all pricked up their ears at their workstations, listening intently. I narrowed my eyes. Miller the assistant immediately understood. No wonder he's in this line of work. He quickly contacted more security guards and reassured me. Carter, I'll handle it. I walked away without looking back, leaving the shouting crowd at the door behind. My office is on the 7th floor, and from this height, I could clearly see the ugly faces of that family below. But this is one-way glass, so I get to enjoy the show unobserved. The only downside is I can't hear much of the performance. Miller's assistant stood at the center of the gate, followed by several security guards who were dragging my parents out. Aaron and Hannah weren't idle either, now playing the role of dutiful children, desperately pushing away the people around our parents. Do they think I hire people to sit around and do nothing? These people have undergone systematic training. How could they be pushed away so easily? Clearly, Aaron and Hannah weren't fools. Realizing they couldn't move these people who were pressing down like a mountain, they quickly switched targets. Aaron, who freeloads at home, showed some masculinity outside. He lunged straight at Miller's assistant. Although the security behind him reacted quickly, it was still a step too late. Aaron knocked Miller's assistant to the ground with a single punch, and I could still clearly see the bloodstains on the floor. Things were spiraling out of control. While I was still watching the show, there was no telling what kind of mess they might stir up. By the time I took the elevator down, the security guards had already subdued the two of them. You can't just ignore us. Today we acted too impulsively, all because we were afraid of losing you. Behind me, the sound of chairs being moved was unmistakable. No need to guess that the company employees had nothing better to do than come out to watch the drama. But yesterday, you didn't seem too afraid of losing me, and you even lingered at my place. Oh, by the way, I deliberately raised my voice to ensure most of the onlookers in the company could hear. I don't have any younger sister. Aren't you just my former best friend? How did you suddenly become my husband's girlfriend now? Many people burst into laughter. I knew quite a few disliked Hannah, so stirring up public anger felt rather satisfying, didn't it? I've known Hannah for over a decade, back in college. We started investing with scholarship money and earnings from part-time jobs. After accumulating a certain amount of capital, I opened a small company. Perhaps I was just lucky. Over the past 10 years, my company never faced any major setbacks, and I happened to catch the wave of the internet boom. Our products practically sold themselves. In fact, I even have my own streamer incubation base, training these streamers exclusively for my use, saving me the need to spend hundreds of thousands on advertising. Hannah has been serving as the deputy manager in my company under my care. Although she holds the title of deputy manager, in reality, she does nothing productive day after day, truly wasting the skills she has acquired. With me as her backing, she acts like a tyrant in the company, embodying the very image of a capitalist. Due to the overwhelming workload, several managers have quit from exhaustion. The current one only stayed because I offered triple the salary. Hannah felt deeply embarrassed. She always liked to introduce herself as my good little sister or my best friend in public, so no one would dare to mess with her. Having been idle for so long, of course she couldn't support herself without me. Sis, even though we're not blood related, we've shared over a decade of friendship. Surely we wouldn't turn against each other over something trivial, right? Besides, you and brother-in-law have been married for years now. The more I talked, the angrier I got, and I directly slapped Hannah across the face. How dare you talk to me about loyalty? What about the 10 years of loyalty between you and me? All you ever did was eat, drink, and live off me. And what about the 5 or 6 years of loyalty between him and me? All he ever did was hook up with you. Aaron seems to really like Hannah. Right now, he's holding Hannah tightly in his arms and threatening me. You just wait, you bitch. The matter has come to a temporary close, and I'm utterly exhausted. Today, they made such a scene in front of my company, and I've already handed the surveillance footage to my lawyer, now just waiting for the lawyer's letter. I'll soon be free from this misery. With a calm heart, I thought about taking a walk by the seaside. It's the perfect time to take out the new supercar I just got, which I haven't even driven yet. Look at you. Always keeping that Hannah so close to heart. Now not only has she taken your husband, turned your parents against you, but she's also made you so unhappy. My childhood friend Jiu Yaya had always disliked Hannah because ever since I met Hannah, I rarely dragged Jiu Yaya out to hang out anymore. She always thought Jiu Yaya was scheming, the kind of white lotus, and back then I was blinded and couldn't see anything. Now I'm willing to respectfully call Jiu Yaya a prophet. Right now, the two of us are lying on beach chairs, as if we've returned to those carefree childhood days, no stressful work or a family falling apart. Yeah, blame me for not knowing how to pick good people. She sat up, leaned her head over, and asked me, what's wrong with your parents? They have such a good daughter like you. Yet they prefer that woman. Who knows what kind of spell she's cast on them? To be honest, I find it strange too. Hannah does indeed come to my house often. But in the earlier years, she always came with me. Later, after getting familiar with my parents, she started coming over to take care of them. I'm hardly ever home, and she doesn't come that frequently either. So why do my parents like her so much? Speak of the devil, Jiu Yaya slapped me. Oh my, take a look at this. How shameless. She quickly took out her phone to record, clicking her tongue in amazement. You two aren't even divorced yet, and they're already on their honeymoon. Look at them. Just like a happy family. Following her gaze, sure enough, The whole family was playing in the water by the beach. Aaron considerately helped Hannah apply sunscreen, using the very bottle I bought. My parents were soaking in the seawater, looking at the two children in front of them with kind expressions. "Aren't you going over to say hello?" Seeing that I remained unmoved, Jiu became noticeably more excited. "What's the point of saying hello? I've already submitted the evidence, and they'll probably receive the lawyer's letter soon. After the trial, we'll be strangers anyway, no need to add to my own troubles." She sprang to her feet in an instant, clearly disagreeing with what I had just said. "Why should you be the one looking miserable while their whole family is having a great time? Don't you know who the real lady of the house is?" She dragged me toward them. This girl was incredibly strong, and I couldn't break free, so I had no choice but to let her lead the way. As we passed by them, Jiu deliberately raised her voice and exclaimed, "This sea is so sea-like, it's truly refreshing to the soul." They were all familiar with Jiu, and now, Hannah noticed us approaching and warmly came over. "Lauren, we didn't call you because we were afraid you'd be too busy with work. You're not mad at us, right?" It's as if she doesn't remember me slapping her across the face 2 days ago, shamelessly talking to me like this. In fact, it's been over a month since I last sent them living expenses, to spite me. This family still hasn't asked me for money, but it won't be long now. Aaron saw that I completely ignored Hannah and warned me, "Lauren, don't push your luck too far," so protective of her. Back when we were together, I never saw him treasure me like this. With someone else, it's completely different. My parents are acting strangely right now, as if they, like Hannah, don't remember what happened a few days ago. They don't seem the least bit embarrassed about having my security guards thrown out of the company. My mom pulled me aside and whispered in my ear, "Lauren, we've thought it through these past couple of days at home. You've been really good to us, and ultimately, we shouldn't have turned against you, but at the time, we really didn't think too much about it and ended up causing you trouble." My mom is the type who never visits unless she needs something. She usually just enjoys playing mahjong, and if she weren't out of money, she wouldn't even remember she has an ATM machine for a daughter. Just by her tone, I could tell she was up to no good. "Otherwise, why don't you ask us to come back and live with you? We don't even have a place to stay." I just remembered this. They really have nowhere to stay after moving out of my villa. The old house was sold long ago. Who would care about a run-down place when they could live in a villa? That's what they said, but I don't think they should have sold it. At least it could have kept some memories of our elders. My parents love playing mahjong. They were already fond of it before I even started earning money, so they didn't hesitate to sell the house for it. That house wasn't worth much. It was in a remote location and wasn't even a commercial property. I bet the meager sum they got for it has already been gambled away by my parents. "Don't you have your own money? Can't you stay in a hotel?" I knew I was asking a rhetorical question, but I deliberately wanted to sting them. A son-in-law earning $3,000 a month, a fake daughter who can't save money, and a couple who love gambling. What a disaster. Tears welled up in my mother's eyes in an instant. There's nothing left. Our whole family has been staying in a hotel for several days now, and we're almost out of money. Seems like life isn't too bad after all. You can still afford a hotel. Not exactly destitute. I thought you'd be sleeping under a bridge by now. Jiu yanked me over, her nose practically pointing to the sky. "Auntie, even without our family Lauren, don't you still have another daughter?" There was another daughter, naturally referring to Hannah, who blushed and threw herself into Aaron's arms. My mother forced an awkward laugh for a while. How can an adopted daughter compare to a biological one? I believe Lauren won't be upset. Adopted daughter. I raised an eyebrow. How come I didn't know my parents had secretly taken in an adopted daughter behind my back, using my money to raise her? How could they stoop so low? My mom realized she'd slipped up and covered her mouth, falling silent, while my dad remained utterly unapologetic. No harm in telling her. My dad turned to me and said, "We've long since recognized Hannah as our goddaughter. You're always running around outside, never home, treating us so poorly. Who knows if you'll even care for us someday. Hannah has her own job and is filial too. It just so happens she doesn't have parents. So from now on, we'll be her mom and dad." Aaron also chimed in from the side. "You're too domineering. Hannah is one of the few women like this, caring for the family and gentle. What's wrong with me falling in love with her?" I was so furious that I fainted on the spot. When I woke up again, I was in a private hospital room. apart from Jiu Yaya visible in the hallway outside the door, there wasn't a single person by my side keeping watch. I struggled to sit up, still hooked up to N4. Jiu Yaya heard the noise and came in, quickly pressing me back down. You have no idea, you fainted from anger and collapsed straight backward, right onto a table behind you. It left several cuts on your body, though they don't look serious. I thought they must be painful, so I asked the doctor to give you an anti-inflammatory shot. The words they said before I fainted still echoed in my ears. I just couldn't understand. Why do they say I'm never home without even knowing the reason? If I weren't working hard outside, where would the money for their mahjong come from? A bunch of ungrateful wolves. Where are they? Jiu Yaya reacted strongly, her face turning red with anger. I was just about to tell you. After you fainted, they avoided you like the plague, as if they wished they'd never known you. They ran off before the ambulance even arrived, probably afraid they'd have to pay for something. If I weren't so worried about you, I would have chased them down and given them a beating. Absolutely infuriating. What a bunch of despicable people. I smiled without saying a word. What else could I do? I've grown strong enough to stand up to them now. If I were still that weak little girl from before, I might have ended up dead on the beach by now. Ding-a-ling, my phone rang. It was my lawyer. Miss Carter, the court date is in a month. I've sent the details to your email. Remember to check. Before I could respond, another call came in. I knew that number by heart, even though I hadn't saved it in my contacts. Aaron's voice came through from the other end. Don't you have anything better to do? Lauren, you're really hiring a lawyer, I scoffed. What else? Just messing with you. I could sense Aaron's voice was laced with anger, yet he still spoke to me gently. Do you have any idea how much this hurts Hannah? She's a girl. If people find out she's the other woman, what will become of her future? What future are you talking about? Isn't she under your care? Besides, she graduated from a prestigious university. Even without me, she should be able to make something of herself. Right, I don't care what impact it has on you. I want a divorce. Aaron is using money to pressure me now because he knows how much I feared poverty as a child. I worked multiple jobs in college, and even now, I value money exceptionally. The closest people always know where to strike the deepest. Aren't you afraid I'll take half your assets if we divorce? Jiu Yaya and I raised our eyebrows simultaneously. Was this guy out of his mind? With such clear evidence of his betrayal, he might even end up with nothing. Yet he's still thinking about splitting my assets. Before I could respond, even more shocking words came through my phone. I didn't divorce you before because I was worried about saving your face. Since you're so heartless, I don't need to consider anything anymore. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., we'll meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau. This must mean she wants a divorce, and I'm more than happy to oblige. With so much work at the company keeping me busy every day, I can't be bothered to deal with this anymore. So I readily agreed. I'll leave with nothing. But I have one condition. No more spreading the rumor that Hannah is the other woman. Otherwise don't even think about getting this divorce. Threatening me. What a goddamn joke. Whether we divorce or not isn't up to you anyway. The initiative is in my hands now. I hung up the phone and laughed with Jiu Yaya for half an hour. Never seen someone with such a malfunctioning brain before. Hannah, although you've lost a life of wealth and luxury, what you've gained is the worthless love of a scumbag. The next morning, I got up early to dress up. With the divorce imminent, I felt the air was fresher than ever. And I was even in the mood to put on some makeup. Aaron coughed awkwardly when he saw me. Are you so happy to divorce me that you even put on makeup? Since we were getting divorced anyway. There was nothing left to say. I smiled faintly and didn't respond. Hannah stood beside him, looking at me with teary eyes. Lauren, I'm sorry for ruining your relationship, but one's feelings can't be controlled. I think you should respect us. Respect? I even wish you all the best. What I don't want is treated like a treasure. Aaron is no good, and you'll suffer when things get messy later. Without saying much, Aaron and I quickly got divorced. He had his girlfriend to accompany, and I had my own career to pursue. Just before getting in the car, I left a gloating remark. What should we do, Hannah? Do you think Aaron can afford to support your whole family? She frowned, came over to my car, and said with a smile, Lauren, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Silly girl, didn't Aaron your brother tell you he left with nothing? She immediately stopped smiling and questioned Aaron. Why didn't you split the assets with her? Aaron was about to speak when I cut in again. He's the one who betrayed me. I'm the innocent party. Do you think the court would rule for him to leave with nothing? Hannah's face darkened completely. Aaron's monthly salary isn't even enough to support himself. How could he afford to buy her bags and jewelry, you bastard? After tricking me into being with you, this is the life you make me live. Aaron was completely unaware of the severity of the situation. In other words, Aaron had no idea that Hannah was only after his status as a wealthy son-in-law to make money. I was just worried about your reputation, that's all. Don't worry, my parents still have their pensions. The audacity to mooch off his parents without a hint of shame is truly impressive. But then, as if struck by a sudden thought, she started frantically knocking on my window. Lauren, even though you're divorced, Aaron can't get any money, but you wouldn't abandon your parents-in-law, right? I do have an obligation to support my parents. Hannah's eyes were practically glowing with hope, but I still poured cold water on her enthusiasm. Even though my parents favor you, that doesn't meet the conditions to waive my support obligations. Before I could finish speaking, Hannah started laughing. Did she really think my parents would support her? What a joke. The monthly living allowance I send will be half of what it was before. Besides, Mom and Dad really enjoy playing mahjong. You probably won't see a trace of that money. Two selfish ingrates, they don't even have enough for themselves. So how could it possibly reach Hannah? She collapsed onto the floor, screaming at Aaron. Didn't you promise me a good life? I'm like this because of you. If it weren't for you, I'd at least still have a decent job, you bastard. Aaron wasn't one to take things lightly either. He started slapping Hannah repeatedly, and the two ended up in a violent brawl. I smiled and drove away. Lovers turned foes, life spending beyond means. Wasn't it always said that I was no good? This grand show is finally coming to an end. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, so feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great stories. We'll see you in the next video.